Hi, friends. This is Eddie with Heart for Healing Ministries, and the title of this video is Prayer is Not What You Think It Is. In this video, I would like to talk about prayer. What exactly is it? How does it work? Are some prayers more effective than others? What are some really effective ways of praying that I've seen work in my own life? And ultimately, how we can really take advantage of this really powerful tool and weapon that we have in fighting this battle that we fight, that I talked about in the first video of the war that we fight within, the battle that we fight within, of the battle of fear, insecurity, doubt, resentment. We often let the narrative of I can't, I'll never be able to, I'm not good enough, that life isn't for me, I'm not a math person, I'm not a reading person, I'm not an English person, and I'll never be able to do this, and I just can't do that. And we'll let our resentments lead us to ruin relationships, ruin jobs, have a bad day at work, and we'll let all of these fears and these insecurities just be the story that we live by, and we'll let those dictate the way that we live. Friedrich Nietzsche said that he who cannot command himself will be commanded. And in other words, if you don't take the time out of your day to pray and write the story that you'd actually like to see, that you'd actually like to live, then life is going to tell you. The story will be written for you, and it's probably going to be a story of, my life sucks. I don't have the job that I want. I have a bad day at work. You know what I mean? I don't like my coworkers. I don't like my boss. I'm afraid, insecurity. I'll never be able to do it. People don't like me. That's going to be if you're anything like me, man, fear, insecurity, worrying about the future, ingratitude, complaining. Man, life didn't give me the deck of cards that I wanted. I was dealt a really bad hand, and poor me, victim. And that's probably going to be the story that will be written for you if you don't take the time to change the narrative and write a different story through the power of prayer. And so one of the first types of prayer that I really want to talk about, because one of the things you're doing is you're rewiring your brain, okay? And I took this amazing neuroscience course when I was studying, really learned about it a little bit when I was studying psychology at Clark College. You are absolutely changing the brain, and rewiring your brain, and it changes it physiologically, okay? And so the parts of your brain that are even responsible for fear, when you're feeling super afraid, like these parts of your brain are like overactive, right? And over time, what's cool is when you go to pray and do like your gratitude list and all of these things and meditate, you actually, if it's positive, if you're writing gratitude lists and you're praying, to be a blessing, and you're praying good things upon other people, and you're working your way towards a more grateful, positive heart posture, these parts of your brain actually reduce in size and activity, and you will actually start to feel that way. And you might not see your gratitude lists, or your prayers like seem like they're working right away. But over time, what happens is this actually physiologically takes place in your brain, and it absolutely works. And that's another point I want to talk about too in this video is you can expect 100% success from your prayers, depending on the way you pray and the way you approach it. If you pray for God to just like give you like a Lamborghini and this crazy beach house, or you want to just like teleport to the other side of the world or whatever it is, it's like, or we pray for some limbs back or whatever it is. It's like, no, that you're probably not going to see those things happen, and it's probably not going to happen. I've seen, but if you're praying to be more grateful and you're trying to cultivate this positive heart posture, then the answer to your question is you can expect that to happen with 100% success, because it's literally a scientific fact. And this leads me into a when is morning and night prayers are super effective. And I've seen that because like if I don't take the time to back to that, like there's a story that's going to play out. Like if I don't pray in the morning, there's a good chance that I'm going to go to work tired. Things aren't going to make a mistake, and then next thing I'm ruminating on that mistake, right? It's like, oh no, I messed up, I don't want to mess again. It's like, oh no, my boss saw it. It's like, oh no, the boss doesn't think very good things about me. And next thing I know, coworker says like, oh man, man, they're going to fire you, or make some smart smart aleck comment, right? And then next thing you know, it's like, and that's just gonna ruminate, and I'm gonna live that out. You know what I mean? And I'll never have a good day at work, and it's like if I don't take the time to wake up and, like I said, command myself and take the time to write and think about the story that I'd actually like to play out. Like if I were to have a good day at work, if I were to be the blessing to my employer and my boss that he deserves, what would that actually look like? And it's like, I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. It's like I'm going to wake up, I'm going to start praying, right? Like I'm so excited. Like, thank you, God, that I get to go to work. Help me to work on time, to work hard when things get slow, to pick up the broom and be the blessing, be the light in the workplace that they'd actually like to see. When my coworker says something to me, help me to not say anything back and to just patiently take it, and actually like think about what it would look like if I were to actually live out God's will, and have the best day at work that I could. What would that actually look like? And then pray for that. And I'm much more likely to actually have it. And if I don't take the time to do that and write that story, I'm not going to live it out. There's a really good chance that I'm just not going to be, when things get slow, if have already prayed and I'm like really, really intentional about trying to be that blessing, be the guy that picks up the broom when things get slow, when things do get slow, I'm much less likely to stand around with my hands in my pockets and wait for somebody to tell me to pick the broom up or get to work or find something to do. I'm much more quicker on the draw to start doing those things automatically because I'm already in that zone, because I've taken the time to say, like, this is what I'm going to do. Like, this is the day that I'm going to have. Like, this is the good day that I'm going to have. And this is the blessing that I'm going to be. I'm going to be the vessel and the tool that God uses to bless my employer and bring about victory for these people, not for me, but because it's like it's for them and it's for God, and I'm going to do this for the glory of God, right? And it's not so, and then that also leads me to the importance of the night. It's like you might think about, it's like, man, I can kind of get like the importance of starting your day off right, but it's like, where's the night prayer really come into as well? Again, those mistakes actually happened at work. And, maybe some things happened after you got off work too. You got stuck in this really bad traffic, and, there's a good chance there's still some things floating around in your head, and you don't want to take those with you to go to bed. And you don't want those to be the first thing that's on your mind tomorrow. And that's the really big thing. Is like, if praying in the morning is important to start your day off, right? Then it's important to not forget to pray in the morning. And if you pray and you, again, take the time to speak life into your situation and change the story and write the story that you'd actually like to have the next day, the morning of, right? At night before you go to bed, then that's going to be the first thing that's on your mind tomorrow. And you're going to keep that cycle of positive prayer and blessing and positivity and thanksgiving. You're going to keep that cycle going. And you want to maintain that over the course of time, because again, some of these things that for it to actually change your brain physiologically, it does take some time. And you can absolutely expect very, very real, tangible results in 2 weeks for sure. And it's absolutely amazing. And then once more, is even more effective than just doing that is specifically writing out your prayers too. We know if you're watching this video, then at some point you've either at least heard about writing sentences, or somebody has probably more than likely asked you to write sentences as some form of discipline. But it doesn't have to be a form of discipline. It's like writing sentences, again, it's about changing you, and it's about changing the way you think and approach things. And you can actually use that to, again, rewire your brain and adopt a more successful mode of being to be more positive, to be more grateful. And that's what we do with the gratitude lists. And it absolutely works. And we can change, again, that story of I can't. It's like, take the time. There's a brilliant quote that I like that kind of goes hand in hand with that Friedrich Nietzsche quote. And that's, things really started to change for me when I started listening to myself less and I started talking to myself more. And it's like, if I'm listening to myself, it's like I'm listening to that voice of I'll never be able to. I'm listening to that voice of resentment, of competing with others. Man, the people around me have it better than I do. It's like that voice, there's something in my head. There's something, a little chip on my shoulder. It's like, oh man, these people have it better than you, and it's like that's gonna happen. And it's like, oh man, I was a victim, and it's because I wasn't dealt the cards that I wanted, and have the life that I and that's going to be the voice that's there, and I don't want to listen to that, and I'm not going to listen to that voice. I need to take the time to speak life and write the narrative a different way. I need to stop saying the words I can't, and I need to start saying I absolutely can. Not just I can someday. I'm not going to, I need to, you can use prayer to start today. It's like the prayer of today is the foundation upon which tomorrow is built. We often think of like tomorrow in some often placed future. We're going to go to the gym tomorrow. We'll get in shape tomorrow. It's going to happen later. It's like I'll go back to school next year, or when I have the time, when I have the money, when I feel well enough, when I'm not in so much pain, but it's like that attitude, that narrative that you're writing right now is going to be your narrative tomorrow and the rest of your life. And if you don't take the time to write a different narrative right now through the power of prayer, and change the way that you're living right now, then you're not going to ever live out that story. And it's like you can do that right now. And I actually did that in my own life. When I was really down and out, it's like I had all sorts of I can't, from like with my mental health issues and bipolar disorder and temporal lobe epilepsy and ADHD and these seizures and all of these things. And it's like I had a lot of I can't do this because of this. And I'm telling you, when I started assuming that was not true, and I started speaking the words of I can, and I'm choosing not to. Eventually, I can, but I'm choosing not to, turned into I could, and I will. And then eventually it's like I can and I am. And eventually it's like I became that I can. And it's like none of those things describe my life at all anymore today. And it's like I'm living a life of I can. I'm living a life of I get to. I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. I get to make money. I get to have heated leather seats, you know what I mean? And a car. And these are like I don't have to do any of this stuff. It's like these are all blessings that I get to have. I'm happy to help. I don't have to help. It's like, oh, no problem, or no worries, or like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll help you. It's like I'm happy to help. You take time to write the narrative, and it absolutely works. You can go from I can't to I can, from I'll never be able to I'm living that dream today. I'm going to start now. You can go from victim to conqueror, to survivor, to inspirational, and you can absolutely change the story. And as you start thinking about what story you'd actually like to have, start thinking about what blessing you'd actually like to be to others. And if you were to actually live out God's will for your life, and speak truth to fear, speak truth to doubt, speak love to resentment, you know what I mean? And actually take the time to write a different narrative. Think about it. Think about what story you'd like to live and start writing that story today. Thanks.